I'm I was a biochemist for a long time. I wanted to talk about what's causing the myocarditis and the blood clots from the vaccines, how that works, and try and give a straightforward explanation of how it all works.
Oh, great. Sounds wonderful.
Okay, so father was an inspiration. He was a programmer and engineer. Asked him what I should be. He said I should do genome mapping. That's not really a job, so I studied biochemistry. Got a degree, worked in cancer research for a couple years, wrote a thesis on in situ mining, kind of biogeochemistry, some bioremediation, or environmental cleanup. Anyways, so I have a biochemistry background. I work in the vaccine space and won't go into specifics about that. It's not a COVID vaccine, but whatever.
Okay.
And I became more of a business analyst and programmer, so whatever. Yeah, so the COVID vaccine, angiotensin, it is competed for against the vaccine, and the antigen glutenin interaction is causing the clotting, and I can explain that in more layman terms. If coronavirus, it has this coronation, this crown, this halo of proteins around it, right? And one of those proteins is the spike protein that is all in the news and stuff. That's the target for the vaccines. There's an antigen or a receptor site on your cells, which it binds to. That's how the virus gets into and infects your cells. So there's this handshake that goes up between the spike protein and what's called ACE2, or it's angiotensin.
It's a medical term. It's okay. It's called
ACE.
Gotcha.
It's ACE. It converts an enzyme that regulates vasoconstriction, so blood pressure. So if you compete against that receptor that is regulating blood flow constriction, essentially you're throwing off your body's ability to regulate blood pressure, and so there's this enzyme, angiotensin. So angio, vessel, tensin, tense, right? And if you have an antibody against it, essentially you're making it so that you don't have that regulation. You can't constrict the blood flow or relax the blood flow. ACE1 turns it on, ACE2 turns it off. So ACE2 turns it off, and that's the target. So if you have the vaccine that is antagonistic or binds against the angiotensin, you're essentially causing a spike in blood pressure, which could give somebody a heart attack. So that's they chose that target for the vaccine because that's where 90% of the antibody binding happens. And
so
go ahead.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So basically the vaccine is turning off the sensor in your blood that tells your blood to pump faster or slower.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Awesome.
Right.
There we go.
And that explains why it's not like it's people who got COVID aren't dying of heart attacks. It's specifically the people who got the vaccine, because the virus, it binds to that whatever antigen, but the vaccine actually attacks it because it's trying to prevent the binding of the virus, but it's also that antigen is important for your blood flow. So by attacking that antigen, you're causing heart attacks. Where do the gummy worms come from?
So that has to do with antigen agglutinin interaction. So what that means is that in your blood, your antibodies will try and grab some foreign substance and sequester it, keep it out of messing up things, right? And so it'll cluster, and it'll make these clots, these tiny grains or something that your spleen is supposed to take care of, but only if you have not many. Like, you can't be overwhelmed by this stuff. So
you're talking about the little coffee grounds they were finding in people's blood?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So if you had a really strong immune reaction, and you start sequestering these foreign, or what your body thinks is foreign, it's going to aggregate or glue together and form these coffee ground type things, and your spleen is supposed to be able to break it down, and your blood isn't supposed to clot, and obviously your life goes on if everything works as it should. But you're triggering a very strong immune reaction, and against something which is on the surface of your cells, which is supposed to be there. So it's almost like an autoimmune reaction, not quite, but it's like your body is attacking itself, kind of. And
So it's
there's
like
some
AIDS. It's kind of like AIDS.
of yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so there's like a if you have too much immunoglobulin G in your bloodstream, yeah, it basically shuts down the rest of your immune system somewhat. And so this ACE2 enzyme is expressed in the intestines, the kidneys, the testes, the gallbladder, and the heart.
So, Jesus Christ. So it gives you a heart attack, it gives you gummy worms, and it also compromises your immune system. And this is all to prevent a sore throat.
Yeah. They really shouldn't have targeted the receptor binding region. They should have gone for something like off to the side or something. Maybe it wouldn't have been... I mean, your body, it dials it in, right? Your memory immune system, it gets better at recognizing things the more generations of memory B cells it has to, and antigen presenting cells have to look at an infection. It gets a better, more sophisticated attack against it over time. But they thought, the receptor site, that's what they wanted to target with the vaccines.
The COVID-19 virus, it binds to an antigen in your body, which regulates your blood pressure. And that's just the way the virus works. So the vaccine targeted that antigen to prevent the virus from binding. But by targeting that antigen, it also affects people's blood pressure, which not only causes blood pressure problems, which could cause heart attacks, but it also triggers an autoimmune response, which releases a bunch of protein in the blood, which looks like coffee grounds and forms gummy worms, which cause even more heart attacks, and also causes your immune system to get fucked.
You got it.
There you go. We saw Blue's Clues. So, how long? So the gummy worms thing, I didn't see coming. I knew the heart attacks. The gummy worms thing was like, that's fucked up. How long until people start dying of AIDS?
Well, okay. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, it has a different way of working, right? So it uses adenovirus, and
Right.
and that's probably the one you might want to be more on the lookout for, because when your body gets exposed to an adenovirus again and again, you might get sensitized to it, and that would be maybe what causes your immune system to downregulate, to shut down, to give you problems.
Okay.
So that would be like on an annual basis. It's like imagine like an allergy that just gets worse every year, like hay fever, like year after year, you're getting it and you're getting it worse and worse. I don't know what the timeline is. Like there's not a lot of good research on this, but in general, like your memory immune system is supposed to have it's supposed to regulate itself, right? There's a period where if you're not exposed to a pathogen for a long enough period of time, your memory immune system can forget that it was ever exposed to it.